Jonathan, eu fiquei muito surpreso que no final do seu livro você propõe que os jovens, né, até 14 anos não tenham smartphones e até 16 não tenham acesso às redes sociais. Só que você sabe bem, né, que o mundo vem se tornando um lugar cada vez mais desigual. E nós, como antropólogos ou psicólogos sociais, a gente precisa levar também em contexto para poder fazer as suas recomendações. Eu fico pensando, olhando para o cenário da América Latina e também para os Estados Unidos, certamente, que os celulares nas periferias, eles assumem papéis muito importantes. Eles tiram os jovens da rua, de perto da violência e colocam dentro de casa. Em famílias com pouca escolarização, os vídeos no YouTube permitem que os professores de YouTube ajudem a formação dessas crianças. E a gente também consegue fazer com que os jogos online ocupem um espaço de entretenimento para quem não tem praça ou espaço público para brincar. Olhando para médio prazo e para curto prazo, para famílias que não vão poder tirar o celular do bolso das crianças agora, o que você sugere?
Yeah. So first, let's look at the equity and social class issues. In the United States, in the 1990s, we talked about the digital divide. We thought rich kids have computers and internet access, but kids from low social class, they don't have access. So we have to get them computers. We have to get them a high-speed internet in the 2000s. And we thought, oh, it's so important in schools. At least in school, every kid should have a computer. And so we thought this was an equity issue. And many philanthropists gave money so that schools could buy iPads and Chromebooks. And of course, the companies are pushing them on schools because they're fighting between the Apple world and the Google world. So around 2012, our schools became flooded with educational technology. What is the effect? The digital divide has reversed. When you look at the data on screen use and everything else, what you find is that children from wealthy families have many more restrictions. They have many more controls on what they do. They spend many fewer hours a day on this. Whereas the further down you go in SES, the further down you go, the greater the use, the greater the abuse, the greater the bad things that happen, the greater the addiction, and the greater the distraction. So when we look at the schools, if you look at the founders of the technology companies, if you go to Silicon Valley, what you find is that a lot of them send their kids to the Waldorf school, which has zero technology, zero, because these people know what the technology does to kids. They limit it for their own kids. Many do not let their children have it. They don't let their children on social media. They don't let their nannies. Some of them make their nanny. The nanny has to sign a contract saying she will not take out her phone around the child. They know how bad this stuff is, so they protect their children from it. But the further down you go in SES, the more the children are exposed to it. So the digital divide has now reversed. The rich kids have protections. The poor kids, to hell with them, give them a device when they're 3 or 4, let them sit there and spend their whole childhood on a screen. So this is an emergency. If you care about low-income people and low-income children, this is an emergency, especially for them. The problems among rich kids are not nearly as severe. Now, of course, there are different neighborhoods, and perhaps it's more dangerous in poor neighborhoods for the kids to go out to play. There's more crime. So we do need to be more thoughtful about how we give children free play. And one simple solution, which I co-founded a group called Let Grow. If you go to letgrow.org, a simple solution, we call it Play Club. If every school would just leave their school playground open for 2 or 3 hours after school, and there's going to be an adult nearby, not monitoring, not telling kids what to do, but just in case of emergency, there is an adult around, but to give them 2 or 3 hours just to run around. Because if you don't, they're going to go home and be on their devices. So we have to be more thoughtful about it, but we have to do it.
Mas isso aqui num país como o Brasil tão desigual, a gente tem as favelas aqui, em que isso não seria viável. Cabe mais ao poder público do que aos educadores e aos pais, você imagina? Prover esses espaços.
Okay, that would be great. I think that might be what's needed. We just have to think about how to get there. In the past, we didn't have to think about how to get there because all the kids went out to play. That's just what kids did. I grew up in the 1970s during a crime wave. We had a lot of crime in America in the 1970s and 80s, but all children went out to play. And then crime dropped very sharply in the 1990s. It became much safer, but that's exactly when we became afraid of our neighbors, afraid of kidnapping, and we stopped letting kids out.